And while we're stuck on the topic of trade destinations, let's talk about another player that reportedly is on the trade market. The Arizona Cardinals are shopping star receiver DeAndre Hopkins. According to reports out there, all it takes is a second-round pick, and DeAndre Hopkins is yours. And I was arguing with somebody on the Bleacher Report earlier who said that DeAndre Hopkins is regressing. Like, what? DeAndre Hopkins, yes, he has not been able to stay on the field as much as you would like. But at the same time, even though he's up there in age, he's in his early 30s. When this guy is on the field and he's able to get a quarterback that can throw him the football, he's one of the best receivers in the game, okay? For the Chicago Bears, I don't care if you are trying to get younger or whatever. If DeAndre Hopkins is out there, you need to go ahead and get him. Give Justin Timothy Fields some damn receivers to throw to. I'm sick and tired of people saying that Justin Fields can't throw the effing football. Justin Fields can throw a really nice deep ball. It's just the fact that he was throwing to guys such as Equanimeous St. Brown. You were throwing to N'Keal freaking Harry. Like, come on, bruh. And then people say, well, you had Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. Bruh, Darnell Mooney got a season cut short. And then Cole Kmet, he didn't really start doing anything until the second half of the year, bro. Like, bro, go get you a true number one receiver, bro. Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is up there in age, and if you're Chicago, you would like to get a younger receiver, but how long are you going to continue to allow Justin Fields to throw to bottom of the barrel wide receivers? Come on, bro. We can't sit here and question Justin Fields' legitimacy as a franchise quarterback, and we're not surrounding him with the same kind of weapons that his peers are getting. Jalen Hurts is throwing to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and yet Justin Fields is throwing to N'Keal Harry and Equanimeous St. Brown. No disrespect to those guys, but come on, bruh. They gave this man Dante Pettis, Byron Pringle to throw the football to last year. Go ahead, get your DeAndre Hopkins. You have the money to pay him. You have the most available cap space in the league right now. Go ahead, get you a proven, productive wide receiver. Yes, he is up there in age, but DeAndre Hopkins is a Hall of Fame caliber player. And one thing that you guys have to notice with players who are Hall of Fame level is that they regress at a slower rate than your normal player. So DeAndre Hopkins, although he's in his early 30s, he still has about 2-3 good years of elite caliber play in him. And you give him to Justin Fields, I think this ends up being a really good quarterback wide receiver duo. Another team that many people want to see DeAndre Hopkins on are the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriots will be a great fit for D-Hop, okay? Bill Belichick, we know how much he loves getting players who are up there in age or players who people consider to be past their prime. Bill Belichick, he gets them in, and he's just like the career rejuvenation center. How many players have the New England Patriots signed, and we thought they were done, and just all of a sudden, they give them CPR, and they're productive again? I remember when they traded for Josh Gordon. Although that experiment didn't last too long, Josh Gordon still did enough to help New England win the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, why not go out and get you a true number one wide receiver and DeAndre Hopkins? Stop messing around with guys like Nelson Aguilar. Stop trying to draft receivers because you're not good at it, or at least trying to draft ones in the first round. I find it funny that Bill Belichick is better at finding undrafted wide receivers that can actually produce versus actually drafting receivers that can actually produce. Isn't that a little bit funny? The best receivers that Bill Belichick have had, most of them have been acquired via free agency or guys who ended up being undrafted. When you look at DeAndre Hopkins, even though he is up there in age, the New England Patriots, they desperately need a true number one wide receiver, and that's what they're going to get out of DeAndre Hopkins. Mac Jones, even though he doesn't have the strongest arm in the red zone, I think that DeAndre Hopkins would be a big boost to this offense. Then, if you're able to re-sign Jacoby Myers, I think that will end up being a pretty good wide receiver room. If you keep Jacoby Myers, you have D-Hop, you also have Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, Tyquan Thornton. And Tyquan Thornton, this guy's a speedster. I still think that he's going to end up being a really good player for New England. It's just that it's going to take a while for him to get going. But you add D-Hop to that receiver room, the Patriots offense becomes much better. And for the final team that I think should trade for DeAndre Hopkins are the New York Giants. They right now have $43 million available in cap space. Well, that probably has changed with the fact that they've tagged Saquon Barkley and re-signed Daniel Jones, but they still do have a good amount of money to spend in free agency. You have Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, who are going to end up hitting the open market. You can end up upgrading from those guys by trading for DeAndre Hopkins. You're in the Big Apple. You need big names, and there isn't a bigger name out there than DeAndre Hopkins. And plus the fact that Daniel Jones was cooking with Isaiah Hodgins and some other receivers that we don't really know all too well. You give Daniel Jones, Isaiah Hodgins, DeAndre Hopkins, and Wandale Moore when he comes back fully healthy. That's definitely a way better receiving core that he's going to be throwing dimes to versus the one that he was dropping dimes to last season in 2022. DeAndre Hopkins with the New York Giants, it works. Brian Dable, this guy's an offensive mastermind, okay? He's going to find ways to get DeAndre Hopkins involved. And I think that DeAndre Hopkins, Daniel Jones, and him would be a pretty good tandem. Believe it or not, I think that Daniel Jones does have a pretty good arm. And we haven't really seen him push the ball down the field all that often due to the fact that the New York Giants wide receivers weren't really all that great at creating separation off the line. DeAndre Hopkins would add a different element to this New York Giants offense that we didn't really see too much of last year, and that's the ability to push the football vertically. Now you're actually going to have a true big body deep threat who can get those contested 50-50 balls or get those jump balls in the red zone. And I did say that the New York Giants were my final team, but I also have one more team that just popped up in my head that I think would be a perfect destination for DeAndre Hopkins to get traded to, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, I had them on my list for teams that should trade for Jalen Ramsey, where I think that they should also trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Like I said, all it takes is a second-round pick to get DeAndre Hopkins. I don't care if the dude is in his early 30s. The Dallas Cowboys are at a point now as a franchise where you just got to get some good football players in there, okay? Because you go to the playoffs every single year and you either win in the wild card round and you get kicked off in the divisional round, or you either get knocked out in the opening round. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, you just need to be stacking your roster with good football players, and you need another wide receiver to pair up with CeeDee Lamb. Did you not see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game? Did you not see the 49ers game? Bro, there was one play where who was it that Fred Warner who was guarding CeeDee Lamb? They were literally throwing the football that much to CeeDee Lamb that everybody on the 49ers defense in the Cowboys playoff loss knew where the ball was going through or going to. You got to get Dak Prescott some more playmakers. You got CeeDee Lamb and you got DeAndre Hopkins. Now all you need to do is to find a solid slot receiver, and there you go. The Cowboys offensive line is pretty set. You know the run game is going to be there. You're pretty good at tight end. All you need is another receiver to pair alongside of CeeDee Lamb. And I think that going to the Dallas Cowboys probably would be the best fit for DeAndre Hopkins. And the reason why I feel that way is because he's up there in age. So obviously you probably don't want a guy in his early 30s being your number one wide receiver, even though he is more than capable of being able to carry the load and being your number one option. But at the same time, I think him being the second option and being paired alongside another good wide receiver would do him pretty well. CeeDee Lamb, DeAndre Hopkins, and Dallas with Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, I think that offense cooks. And Dallas' offense was already cooking last year, even without the fact that they didn't really have a lot of talent and depth at wide receiver. You give Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm pretty sure this offense continues to be one of the best in the NFL. So these are my best trade destinations for DeAndre Hopkins. You guys let me know some other teams that you think would be a really good fit for D-Hop down in the comment section down below.